asking, are you going to put it on the agenda, since he asked it specifically of you?
Commissioner Williams, I am unsure as to whether or not I will put it on the agenda, but as the board, any member of the board can put something on the agenda. Whether or not the board chooses to hear that item is up to the discretion of the board. Our next public meeting.
I still want a point of clarification, because his question is actually asking you to define it. So if I put it, the reason I'm asking is if I put it on the agenda, if you're not willing to provide the answer, then he doesn't get the result. So I can put it on the agenda if you'd like, but he's asking you to define the word business for the business meeting. So,
Commissioner Williams, what we are currently in is actually public comment, and
he's asking for an agenda item, though. That's what public comment is. It's
Commissioner, you are out of order. Mr. Hutchins, please continue.
No, we're not going to bypass this. Sorry.
It's 10:38 and this meeting is recessed until 11 a.m.
Oh, come on. You took away our public comment again. Of course. Anything to get rid of public comment.
It was asked of you, Mr. Owen.
Dave, I'm man enough to know.
I think you guys ought to respond to that one.
That was too fast.
It was.
And I gave an answer. Have a good day.
All right, District 2 Commissioner Report. You got like 20
Yay!
So some of the things that you missed last week, the auditing workshop. We did a workshop where we talked about just auditing rules, the rules in general. So it was actually kind of long, but very beneficial if you didn't get to see it. It's worth kind of going through. The clerk was there, the treasurer was there. We had a member of the public who has a background in not just auditing, but finance present, and then some community engagement to understand the roles and responsibilities of the Board of Commissioners as it relates to commissioning audits. It is the obligation of the board to do that. That's why on the agenda I had the item of reviewing the audit that was completed by the prosecutor's office, because we got a better understanding of why we shouldn't say forensic audit, because we actually already did that. We just need the historical audit. So that was definitely worth it. We also did a workshop with Wire Idaho. That is being championed by members of our community along with people across the state. I did post the video online as well. The concern has to do with how we're growing and developing in population and where we're placing these cell towers. And is it reasonable that we look at the health and safety and welfare of residents as we identify where these towers go? Specifically with respect to Bonner County, we don't have an ordinance that actually dictates where these are placed. And so their group actually has gained a lot of visibility. Senator Hart, Senator Herndon, myself, and some representatives are working with Ann Wilder, Chamberlain of, she's the precinct committeeman for Priest River, and disseminating this information so that we can make informed decisions. As we're coming towards our planning and development of Bonner County, it's worth considering. Dalton Garden actually issued and passed an ordinance related to where these cell towers are. So I have that as an example, and they're asking Bonner County to take a look at that as we grow and develop. There's been more evidence presented with respect to the negative impacts that can happen with 5G. And so I encourage you to log on to wireidaho.com, reach out to myself, reach out to Ann. There's a lot of information on that. I am still working on the COVID issue within our community. I will tell you, we spoke with Panhandle Health Director yesterday. At no time is he expecting us to see a mandate for vaccines. That's not something that's supported by our board at Panhandle Health. And that's one thing that our community is interested in, so I want to make sure that that's heard. With respect to kind of some legal opinion updates, back in November, there was a request by this board to have access to monitor my emails. Bill Wilson wrote an opinion that was dated 11/28, and I attached it to your read and review so that you can see the opinion regarding that's not appropriate. Last week on Friday, Commissioner Bradshaw and Ahmet passed a decision that says they have unfettered access with a specific request to look for restraining order information that's in my county email. Commissioner Ahmet said he was going to go downstairs to a staff member and access the documents without a public records release. Bill Wilson was very clear. He asked him not to do that. He said that it would be putting the county and himself and the employee at risk if he were to go down and access something that they have deemed not able to be disseminated. There isn't anything I can do about that. I have received the concerns from public over the doxing of people that are giving an opinion that he doesn't like online, and the negative impacts on health, safety, welfare, and just being able to have an opposing opinion. I don't have an option for you at this time. I have asked legal, and Bill Wilson instructed me to resubmit the request with the renewed level of urgency that was exhibited in executive session. On that executive session, I also asked Bill for an opinion as to whether or not that was reasonable and appropriate, because there wasn't a statute covered. It was just look at my email box. That is not something that I see as protected. That is an open communication. It doesn't fit anywhere within our limited scope of executive sessions. With that, I'm going to say that meeting was very volatile. We don't have a lot of services in Idaho, and our prosecutor's office is limited by what they can do and say about this board. In some ways, that level of privacy that they have to uphold is contributing to this belief that we shouldn't be passing things through the prosecutor's office, and we don't know what the solution is. I know that we have a huge problem on this board as it relates to listening to the legal opinion of our prosecutor's office as a whole. I know that we are asking other prosecutors, what do you do in a case like this? The problem is, it's not an AG that fixes it. It's the people that addresses who we elected. And it's frustrating because there isn't a quick fix. I don't have a quick fix for what happened on Friday. I can only say I submitted it to legal. I would ask that people recognize the hardship that our legal team is under, with a very clear stated position that our board will not listen to the opinions being given because we put ourselves in line with litigation.
Can you tell us why that is?
I don't know why. I know that I will be very transparent and tell you, and I'm sure it's circulated online already. During an Idaho Association of Counties meeting, it's not a commissioner meeting, Bradshaw was asked to leave the meeting, and there is a citation that was requested over that action. I don't know why this search by email over restraining order was put present. That is not a Bonner County issue. It is a civil order of protection. It is specific to myself and Bradshaw. The presence of law enforcement in this room is not to protect Asia. It is to address the fact that Commissioner Bradshaw does not want to accept the county's position of participate via Zoom.
Now, wait a minute now. That meeting happened only like 10 days ago, yet the request went in November, correct?
This is a second request. And actually, let me change it. It isn't a request. They made a decision that they'll do it regardless of records request, because they originally did request these records, and legal said it's not disclosable. Like in your email, you'll see like passwords for certain programs, or you'll see communication with HR or health information. So you don't get unfettered access just to go digging. You have to ask for something for it to be released. They did ask for these items. They were not released because it was deemed not germane to the business of Bonner County. Luke specifically said to legal that's what he was looking for. It wouldn't be released otherwise. It puts our staff in the wrong position against each other or picking sides, which contributes to the dysfunction of the board itself. I don't have a quick fix for it, but that is a problem, but it's a legal opinion that has been requested and renewed. There is a review of, was there a state rule that's going to be broken by accessing it? And the answer is, just like in your position, the people that are watching us say, we don't know, we've never been in this situation before. That's basically where we are. We as a people need to expect our board to seek the input of legal, because their job is to get us out of litigation, to not cost. In this case, you're potentially costing an employee a negative outcome by following your direction, using your authority to do that. That's not what we should be doing as a board. Open meeting laws are being reviewed. That's at the level of the prosecutor. Special prosecutor was requested for that. I am sending in violations specifically related to that vote, to go into my email box, because when you say that it is to look for restraining order information, should Bradshaw have cast a vote on that, since there is a reasonable conflict of interest, I added that as a potential violation onto that request. Risk as it relates to HR, when you consider that our board has asked technology to access in spite of legal, should this board be over HR? Employees of Bonner County deserve protection, and this is not how you get it. It's not reasonable. So I've asked for a specific legal opinion as to, doesn't matter whether or not you can reasonably put it under the board. Should it be under the board given this? Everybody deserves their right to feel like they have a safe environment, including people that are elected. I don't believe that I give up my ability or the requirement for Bonner County to create a safe workspace, and I'm obligated to do that for other people as well. Freedom of speech is huge, as you can tell, in our county right now, and I took a quote from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that kind of sums up our problem. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers.
Isn't that from the UN?
That is.
Okay.
I will tell you that not everybody likes Commissioner Chat, but if you don't like it, you don't have to participate, you don't have to watch it. Today's Commissioner Chat was particularly informative, but also a little bit heartbreaking at the same time, knowing that we don't have enough people volunteering, and we know that because of a Commissioner Chat. And we are a community, and that's how we help our community. For those that don't like it, it's hard to really understand the why, but I can tell you that our county is better served by knowing that we need to help our community more. As we look at economic outlooks on our country, we are the first line of defense of our elderly. That's our responsibility. We have 2 volunteers. Look how many beds we have here with 2 volunteers. That should have us have a call to action as Bonner County residents to say, I can just pick up a phone call and check on a resident of an elderly person and just say hi, and that would be considered volunteering. We don't get that unless we explain it. I learned a lot doing the Commissioner Chats. We learned what our gaps in our community are. This was a huge presentation filled with a lot of gaps on what we can do. And it is heartbreaking to know that a board would say that that's not Bonner County business, because how do we fix that if we don't expose it? These people that are coming to chats, there are very few of them that are actually housed in Bonner County. They're coming from Kootenai County. They're doing, they did 2 PowerPoint presentations for our community, tailored to our community. They use our data to show our needs. We have to continue to voice our concerns over not having that display in our community. I circulate a lot of the community centers and assisted living, and somebody asked the question of how do you know those people that need help? It's hard because you don't have a list. There is no list. You go into areas where we have memory care issues. As a nurse, and as if you've been in any facility, people get put in these homes, and then slowly the participation from family dwindles. And that's just the natural progression of it. When you know that, what can we do? That's what the purpose of the chat is. It is information. We have a high percentage of people that are nursing that are not in our community. They are travel nurses. And the problem that COVID caused was it made it so that Valley Vista is not going to pay me as much as a contract would pay me. And so what do you get? You don't get the same face over and over to develop a relationship with the elderly person that you put in your community home. So where does that land us? It's until we can fix that bigger problem, it is the volunteer. It's the volunteer that can be that recognition of they know what it's like to live in Bonner County. I would hope that people would take up issue with not allowing the dissemination of that important information. With Army Corps of Engineers, an employee came up to me and said, 45 minutes wasn't long enough, you need to redo it. You need to do it longer. But the problem is people are telling me individually and not yelling it at the people that are voting not to do it.
But if we yell it, we'll get removed by Sandpoint Police.
I will point that out.
Apparently not.
No, you will not.
No, you will not.
How do
No,
you
you
go
will
back
not.
in anyway? Because he didn't break the law.
There-
That's right.
He had no reason to leave in the first place.
But that's what we,
Point of order.
but that's what we have to do as a public, because there isn't another conduit of information. If you don't stop, you will get removed, Big Woman.
I was just doing the smirk.
Okay. I'm gonna film the whole removal.
The smirk.
Voting you off the island.
Yes. And that is where our community lands. We have a lot of people that think that, you go to community and it's 100%, and it isn't. It's $4 on the meal, which doesn't even include the travel, and it doesn't include a lot of the people that are hired to work in the community centers. So with that, anybody have a question that they want to ask?
You hear from Bill? Campaign?
No, where were you? At Elderly. We were ready to have you committed, the paperwork for drop.
Ready to have it committed?
Yes.
I would sign
I
right there.
don't have an answer on that yet, because Friday was a very interesting meeting, but you're on the top of my list.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we would really like to be involved in any of the negotiations with planning and the developer for this trail.
Okay?
If you've read the resolution and you've looked at the filing from the developer, they're day and night. They're not even close. There are some glaring issues with the resolution, which is a binding contract.
So you want an authorized representative from your group.
I'm telling you.
Are you the mouthpiece of
This
it?
is our group right here.
All right, I'll send it to Bill and copy.
Okay, y'all wave.
To be
Hey,
involved.
John, can I bring something up? It's a little, it's on
Yes, sir.
topic. It's on topic, but it's connected to everybody in the room. You just spent $43,000 for a hazard mitigation contract. Paperwork is laid on you, I give you for free. It has to do with emergency services and our staffing and the level of coverage for our fire service. It's not unlike what the sheriff experiences and our ambulance experience, but it brings to light, I don't think people know that we only have 8 firefighters for everything from Kerrywood to Laclede. Okay? And if recent history teaches us anything, it shows that we need to invest in our emergency services and the people that put themselves at risk. And what I encapsulated in that, because you only get 3 minutes, the clock ticks, and then they cut you off, is the national standards for how we should build a fire service. And that ties directly into what Bob Howard has, the Emergency Services Office, and how that works with everything throughout the county. I only illustrated in there what is coverage by the 3 fire districts of Sagal, Sandpoint, and Westside. I live in Westside. We have 1 firefighter in a fire station per day. You can't run a car accident, a fender bender, with 1 person. But they're out there, code 3, in the snow, and I think it's irresponsible. And it's a direct safety hazard for the people that we pay money to risk themselves. And it should be part of the conversation that takes on in this room. But for all the meetings I've watched online, been involved with, never heard anybody talk about that. And that's politely short-sighted.
So would you be agreeable, we do not have a commissioner meeting next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that, to actually do it as a presentation to the community during the business meeting?
Without all the song and dance?
Good luck.
That's
So then,
I'll go anywhere.
so what I can offer in exchange, I'm not in control of that part. I can say then, we could do it as a commissioner chat with a video that then gets disseminated. That's the only
I'll
thing.
stand and take any questions. I had all the service organizations I've involved with, and it comes up to 50 years. With FEMA, with my fire service, and teaching incident command lessons, this is nuts. Because having 1 firefighter in a station by themselves, I mean, what's it take?
Sir, you've identified a problem, and I appreciate that. Do you personally have a solution that you'd like to share
Yeah.
to this problem?
Yeah.
You just-
I mean,
think it'd be good to hear.
Unfortunately, like everything else, is gonna cost money. Okay?
Just ask. for your
What
thoughts.
happened
That's all.
was, is that we had an organization here where we had a lot of volunteers. And volunteers is like unpaid help, right?
I understand.
Okay, so you had a core group of career firefighters, and they had a lot of volunteers. The volunteers are gone. There's none of these 3 fire districts that have any volunteers anymore.
Why is
So
that?
what was created was a vacuum, okay?
Why are there no longer the volunteers? Is it
Hey,
training
you know what,
requirements?
it's a failure of leadership. Okay, because decades and decades of, years and years of this, they should have been saying, hey, we need more people. Okay? Law enforcement, I mean, they have a benefit that the fire service doesn't have in case of time. They can create a perimeter and wait the bad guy out. But in the case of the fire service, as soon as that 911 call comes in, the clock starts running. And whether or not we're successful at mitigating that and being a benefit to the people we serve is, based on time. And I put that in there too.
So is the answer budgeting for more full-time professional firefighters since volunteers?
That's the
don't
world
seem
we
to be
live
doing
in, okay?
it? Sorry?
And national standards is that every fire engine going down the road should have 4 people in it, not 1. Can't have a crew of 1. And Kerrywood and Sagold each have 2. And I only speak about these 3 fire districts, but I'm pretty sure that Ponderay has the same issue, Priest River has the same issue. It's pretty uniform issue. And it's something to be watched, but our elected officials and appointed officials are quite there yet.
Statistically, and if you don't have the answer, that's fine, I'll give you time to get it. Statistically, do you know how many people in this county have been harmed because you don't have enough people?
Oh, I have no answer specifically.
I mean,
You might want to ask how many foundations have been saved. Might be a more appropriate.
Studies have been done.
Why?
Because we are foundation savers.
Because
Because if 1 or 2 people show up to a fire, I don't mean to hijack it, but that's what you're gonna end up with.
How many fires do not get responded to? How many car accidents do not get responded to? That's the kind of thing that I'm asking.
Yeah,
Does that make more sense?
No, it makes total sense, and I wish I had an answer, okay, because that would take some research, okay?
And I would give anybody plenty of time for that, but that seems to go straight to point of what you're bringing up.
But I can tell you that engine going down the road has a certain capability, and it's not served by just one person.
ready.
Okay? It's designed for a crew of 4, okay? Decisions have been made due to cost to break that down.
So the county needs to step up and pay, for more firefighters.
It's 11 a.m.
Can I
on.
ask for a quick second, because this gentleman was talking about.
Yeah, don't go
something that
away.
was critical. Can we at least let him finish his thought before you move on? You can always be late. It's-
Yes.
He's
Okay.
standing there.
Mr. Glass.
Well, I put on your desk a little worksheet that I put together to calculate something that I'm not capable of saying in 3 minutes. The present condition, and full disclosure, I'm on the Dover City Council. I live in West Side Fire District, and we are only served by 1 firefighter a day in a station that is 6.5 miles from where I live. Okay? So design and function requires some assistance, and that comes from leadership. And the people that hold the levers in government need to have a foundation in standards, NFPA, U.S. Fire Administration, the International Association of Firefighters, wherever you look. What I put in there is all the same. They quantify what it takes to do the job. And all I'm trying to do is change the rhetoric a little bit, bring into focus something that exists, and has existed for a long time. And our citizens need to know that that exists.
So with you,
Conversations that we have to address that.
do you want to do both a presentation at the next business meeting about this issue, or do you want to do the secondary option of being able to.
They're gonna, at the last, I said the same thing.